Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Mastering Midlife, How to Thrive When the World Asks the Most of You. I am your host, Mark Silverman. I want to start today's show by reading the definition of responsibility that I just took out of the dictionary. The state or fact of having duty to deal with something or having control over someone. The state or fact of being accountable or to blame for something. Blame, guilt, fault, culpability, liability. No wonder we balk at responsibility. As a recovering hyper-responsible person, I was hyper ultra responsible for a lot of my life in reaction to being really irresponsible when I was younger. When being an alcoholic, a drunk, a drug addict, and really basically not taking responsibility for anybody else or for myself. When I did get sober, I became very, very responsible and acutely aware of my impact on other people. Fast forward several years when that just became unsustainable. Whenever you do anything that's in reaction to the way you were, it's often unsustainable, and it just takes a ton of energy to keep that facade up. And recently I got quite a bit of relief from that in redefining responsibility for myself. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard a different definition than the one that's in the dictionary, but responsibility being your ability to respond. You have the ability to respond, and you're responding to everything all the time. So that's what makes this really, really simple and really relaxing for me when it comes to responsibility. And really, we're responding to things all day, every day. When a car passes too close to us on the street, we respond to that. When someone says something nice to us, we respond to that. So we have the ability, and we always do respond to people, places, and things that are in our environment. I recently heard a definition of responsibility and a way to deal with responsibility from Sadhguru, an Indian holy man who teaches quite a bit of very practical spiritual guidance to the world. And his conversation about responsibility really helped me define the way I want to hold the burden of responsibility. And basically, it starts in three parts. Your ability to respond is your proximity. Are you in the area where you can respond? So if someone is in a burning building in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're in New York, you're not going to respond to that. There's nothing you can do about that except watch it on TV and see what happens. Now you can respond. So when we talk about responding, if you're not in proximity, the only thing you really can do is feel for them, pray for them, maybe call 911. The next is ability. So if you're walking past the building, but you're on crutches, or you're walking past the building and it's engulfed in flames, so you really can't get in. Do you have the ability to go help? Are you a firefighter? Are you trained for this? Can you really do anything about it besides call 911 and maybe help on the periphery? Again, so we're going with proximity and we're going with ability. And then the next is inclination. Do you feel like doing anything? Does something in you make you want to respond and go do something about what's happening? So proximity, ability, and inclination. Now, I heard a really good conversation about the inclination part that's really interesting because, again, being hyper-responsible, I care about the dolphins who are being clubbed to death in the cove in Japan. I care about starving children here and there. I care about people who are being oppressed. I care about recycling. I care about the environment. I care about global warming. I care about all these things. And how do I deal with all this stuff? And one of the cool things I heard in this conversation, actually it wasn't a conversation, it was a Facebook post where someone said, thank you to the vegan who doesn't recycle. Thank you for the person who recycles, who doesn't protest human trafficking. Thank you for the person who protests human trafficking, but doesn't do this. And you can see as this goes on and on and on, people are doing their part. So for me, my part is basically sharing these kinds of wisdom and being there for other people. I'm not out in the trenches someplace feeding the homeless. I'm not out protesting the injustices. I'm doing what I need to do. What my inclination is to help in the world. And that's my God-given talent. That's got my God-given desire. So we follow those things. So let's recap. Responsibility is not about the burden, the fault, the liability, your duty to deal with someone or something. It's your ability to respond. And again, we're able to respond to food. When we put a banana in our body, it turns into our body and waste. We respond to everything. We respond to air. We respond to the trees by breathing in the air that they create. We respond to sunlight by absorbing that into our skin. We're responding constantly. So, do we have the ability to respond? Are we in the proximity of whatever's happening to be able to help? And do we have the inclination? And then we can make a choice and we can decide whether or not we want to act on that inclination. So I hope this is helpful to just kind of relieve you of some of the burden if you're a recovering, hyper-responsible person like me. Thank you. I love you, and have a great rest of the day.